All right, good evening, East Hampton Town Board. We're broadcasting live on Channel 22, streaming to YouTube. You're being recorded. Phone lines are open. You're good to go.
Thank you, Matthew. And good evening, everyone, and welcome to the East Hampton Town Board meeting of Thursday, March 20th, 2025. Carol, if you could please read the roll call.
Present. Present.
Present.
Present.
Present. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So tonight we have 5 public hearings that will be followed by public portion and then resolutions. But before we begin, we have the infamous Hugh King here.
Hi, you ever hear of the Orchid Beauty Shop?
Yes.
The Orchid Beauty Shop, I think, opened up in 1941 on North Main Street. It was the dream of Lucy West and Ruth Hartwell. May have been one of the first businesses owned by African-American women in our town. I don't know if I told you about Lucy West before, but she got a proclamation from the village when she turned 100. And Lucy West lives up on Race Lane. What's that market up there on Race Lane?
Chicken house.
The chicken house, right. Well, Lucy West lived in a little house right before that, and it was called the Bird House.
Yeah.
So she's the only person in the history of our town who lives in a birdhouse next to a chicken house. But also, another sister was named Bertha Hobson, okay? Heads up. Years ago, one of our supervisors was at the Senior Citizen Center on Martin Luther King's birthday, extolling the virtues of African Americans who've made contributions. Well, Bertha grabs him and says, "Hold it. You want to do something? You change the road outside Calvary Baptist Church from Cross Highway to Spinner Lane." 2 meetings later, it was done. And who's C. Ralph Spinner? He was the first pastor of the Calvary Baptist Church. Okay? You've all heard of Leroy DeBoard, arguably the greatest athlete to come out of East Hampton High School. He was also chairman of the Zoning Board of Appeals and a council member on the East Hampton Town Board. Henry Haney. Mm-hmm. Henry Haney probably had one of the first programs on LTV as an African American. He was also a stalwart in the Calvary Baptist Church. Then there's Andy Malone. Andy Malone at one time was the chairman of the East Hampton Democratic Party. Helen Hillman. Helen Hillman was hired by Condi Lamb as a real estate broker, probably the first Black woman to serve in that capacity in our town. Lucille Teal. Lucille Teal was an English teacher, and I think she may have been one of the first African-American teachers hired at the East Hampton High School. Carrie Gilbert was another teacher at John Marshall School. Kathleen Tucker was one of the founders of the Eastville Historical Society and a stalwart in the preservation of St. David's AME Zion Church, the oldest church building in the town of East Hampton. You know, the St. Matthew's Chapel is 1852. Dr. Georgette Greer Key is the executive director of the Eastville Historical Society. Audrey Gaines worked in the Child Services Department of the East Hampton Town and is on the Anti-Bias Task Force. Queen Davis Parks was another teacher in the John Marshall School. But why else am I mentioning her? She has a road named after her, Queens Lane. There's also Jenny's Path. They were named by Gurley Lee Hayes, who he worked for the town highway department, and he was the one who made the signs. And so I don't know how he mangled that out, but he got it. And then, of course, the last one is Thomas Jefferson Davis. Thomas Jefferson Davis served in the Civil War as a sailor. When the Civil War started, they allowed blacks to serve in the Navy because of their experience in the whaling trade. So he served on a ship called the Heliotrope, and it was he served like the last year in 1864, and the idea of the ship was to damage all the Confederate supplies that they could. He's also buried in Springs and has a headstone. One of the three that I know of, people who have a headstone who's an African American. What are the others? Ned, down at Morris Park off of 3 Mile Harbor. And Peg is a Negro servant who served Abraham Gardner, enslaved person, not servant, and she's in the South End Burying Ground. Okay, the next time I come, it'll be women who have made a difference in our town. Thank you very much. Oh, wait a minute, one more. David Cataletto is going to give the third lecture of the East Hampton Historical Society, March 28th at Howie Hall. It's going to be on houses of worship in the town of East Hampton. All right.
And what's the time on March 28th?
7 o'clock. Thank you, Madam Supervisor.
Thank you, Hugh.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to public hearings. Carol, if you could please read the first meeting notice.
The public hearings will be held live and in person by the town board and will be available electronically by video and teleconferencing and will be televised on local TV, Channel 22, and available for live stream on the LTV website. The public shall be permitted to appear in person, but may also provide comments on the matter being heard by calling 351-888-6331. Any person or party wishing to be heard with respect to the foregoing may do so in person, by agent, by attorney, or by written comment addressed to the East Hampton Town Clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton. Comments may also be submitted to the town clerk by email to cbrennan@ehamptonny.gov. All comments must be received by the town clerk by the date and time of the public hearing. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the town's website for any changes and for updated information. Please take notice that the town board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held on March 20th at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard at East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, to hear any and all persons either for or against a local law entitled, a local law providing for the amendment of Chapter 240, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 68, Schedule 18, Time Limit Parking, and Section 79, Schedule 29, Permit Parking of the Town Code of the Town of East Hampton to add parking restrictions in the Montauk Business District.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone that would like to speak on this matter? Bill, if you could please come to the podium. Welcome.
Hello. My name is Bill Navro. I am a resident of Montauk and a business owner. Can I distribute this?
Sure.
So you can follow this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My business is Montauk Clothing Company, and I'm located on Main Street in Montauk. And the main parking lot in Montauk, public lot, is behind my business. Also, the parking lot behind my business and the one by the police station are the two main parking lots in town. And approximately 30 businesses border those lots. So I'm going to talk about one of the things in this resolution about changing many of the spots to 30-minute parking. The reason I'm doing this is because I feel I'm very qualified by the following. I'll give you a little background. In 1969, I developed a 6-store apparel chain in Queens from 1969 to 1990. And after that, I sold it and came out to Montauk and started Montauk Clothing Company, developed it to what it is today. During that time, for about 4 years, I was also a retail consultant, and I met with retailers in the apparel business across the United States. I was also a director on the board in the Montauk Chamber of Commerce for 15 years. And in 2013, I was the one who brought forth an idea to limit the parking in those lots to 2 hours and no taxi parking. That was backed by the chamber and eventually by the town board. I also lived on top of my business, so I was facing the parking lot by my apartment for 15 years. I moved last year. When I recently got back from a buying trip out west, I found an article in the press describing this resolution. And right away, I knew this would be a problem for most of our merchants because Montauk is a tourist town. The people on Main Street are generally on Main Street for an hour and a half to 2 hours. There are 5 or 6 restaurants in this small area. Now, nobody's going to be able to eat in a half an hour. So it's essentially what's going to happen is those spots, the 10 spots in the main lot and the 5 spots in the small lot by the police station will probably be very much underutilized. So what I did is I put together a copy of the article, 2 maps, 1 for each parking lot, and I went around, distributed to the merchants that were open at the time. A few of them are not open yet for the season. And I have the results on the last page that I gave you. And you could see by the results, which I gave everybody the option of saying it's a very good idea, a good idea, neutral, bad idea, or very bad idea. Almost every single person that I contacted said it was a very bad idea, except for one who said it was neutral idea to them. So I'm hoping that given this latest data, which is strictly from the people that are involved in this change, they're the stakeholders. And I have to say that not one person knew about this that I spoke to, not a one. And I feel that when these kind of changes are made, I know the chamber was given some notice about this because I used to be on the chamber. But I think in the future, when it comes to changing things like that, which is a major thing for a merchant, we should be involved in the conversation. Because there is possibly a good idea in this resolution about reducing the unlimited parking for a permit holder to 72 hours. But given how the rules are about resolutions, you either have to vote it in or vote it down. So I'm hoping by this data that we could have a unanimous decision to vote this down and maybe work on something else in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Would anyone else like to address the board on this public hearing? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have 2 callers on the line. It's not clear what hearing they're here for, but I'll put the first caller through. I'm unmuting
Thank
a
you.
caller with their phone number ending in 2777.
Here, I'm here. And my name
Are
is
you
Michael
calling
Chinkley.
about the,
I have Amagansett Wine and Spirits. I'm talking about the parking. I can
Okay.
tell you from my experience being on Main Street and a retailer that borders a parking lot that I am still on ACYAC, Citizens Advisory, and on the parking lot committee, and fully supported the 30-minute parking. Because as the earlier gentleman says, everyone takes a parking space and is there for 2 hours. Now, I don't understand what he's thinking, but I tell you what, when somebody wants to come in and grab something for me, a book from the library, coffee, to-go order, something from the pizzeria, it's great to have a few spots behind our businesses where you can run in and run out. So it's harder and harder to do business on the east end of Long Island these days. And I think that in an effort to support the business people on Main Street and the people that come and visit and want to just grab and go, I think it's imperative that you allow a number of spots on both parking areas for 30-minute parking spaces. So I would totally support it. It's working in Amagansett. It's not a lot of spots when you think of the overall spaces that are available. And I think that you'd be missing it if you didn't put 30-minute spots into effect. Thank you, Town Board, for all you do for us. Have a great night.
Thank you, Michael. Matthew, you want to put the other caller through? Let's see if it's for this hearing.
Sure, no problem. Putting a caller with a phone number ending 3584 on muting.
Hi, I'm actually here for the third hearing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have no other callers at this time.
Okay, I'm going to ask one more time. Is there anyone here that wants to talk about the parking public hearing? Okay, do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Sorry, may I just move for discussion on this?
Sure.
I obviously am a business owner adjacent to this, so I will be abstaining for all votes pertaining to this.
Probably a recusal is better.
Recusal, I apologize. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tom. Okay, so
Motion to close.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Carol, if you could read the next public hearing notice, please.
Notice is hereby given that the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing at Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, March 20th at 6 PM or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider comments of all persons regarding the amendments to the East Hampton Town Code, Chapter 62, Civil Enforcement and Administrative adjudication of the Town Code of the Town of East Hampton, an abstract of which follows: a local law providing for the amendment of Chapter 62.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone that would like to address the board on this hearing? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have no additional callers, just a caller waiting for the third hearing.
Do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Carol, if you could please read the third meeting notice.
Take notice that the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing pursuant to Chapter 232, Urban Renewal of the Town Code of the Town of East Hampton, Section 232-170, Modification of Urban Renewal Plans in the Town Hall Meeting Room, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on March 20th at 6 PM or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, to consider the following modification of Urban Renewal Map SP1-1. Urban Renewal Map number 32 and SP 1-1, reduce URP 32's requirement to have a 50-foot wide scenic easement along Springs Fireplace Road to a 25-foot wide scenic easement along Springs Fireplace Road, with said scenic easement allowing for access to the property and the installation of a wastewater treatment system within the scenic easement area. Require URP number 32 to have a 25-foot wide scenic easement at the rear of the parcel adjacent to existing wetlands. Move driveway access location to the southwest corner of the lot along Springs Fireplace Road, except as amended above. The requirements of UR map SP 1-1 shall remain in full force and effect.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone here that would like to address the board on this public hearing? Matthew, if you want to put that caller through, please.
Okay, sure thing. I'm muting now.
Good evening, Town Board. This is Tiffany Scarlato from 36 West Water Street in Sag Harbor, and I'm representing the owners of 840 Springs Fireplace Road. This application is to amend your urban renewal map. This is the last lot in this map in that location. So the scenic easement in the front yard is sort of hanging out there on its own, and we've asked to reduce that from 50 feet to 25 feet to enable a larger scenic easement in the rear of the property to accommodate protection of the wetlands and a contiguous easement in the rear of the property with the adjacent properties. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you for calling in, Tiffany. We don't ask the callers to answer questions, but thank you. Is there anyone else on the line, Matthew, for this public hearing?
We have no more callers on the line.
Okay.
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Carol, if you could please read the fourth meeting notice.
Please take notice that pursuant to Section 247, the General Municipal Law of the State of New York and the provisions of the East Hampton Town Code, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing in the Town Hall Meeting Room, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, March 20th at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard concerning the following grant of scenic and conservation easement to the Town of East Hampton. The grantor is Ellen Fine. It's a scenic and conservation easement dated January 6th at 3 Miller Avenue in Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 332-734 with the reviewing agency, the ZBA.
Thank you, Carol. Would anyone like to address the board on this matter? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
We have no more callers on the line.
Motion to close?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carol, if you could read the fifth and last meeting notice, please.
Please take notice that pursuant to Section 247 of the General Municipal Law of the State of New York and the provisions of the East Hampton Town Code, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing in the Town Hall Meeting Room, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, on Thursday, March 20th at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard, concerning the filing grant of scenic and conservation easement to the Town of East Hampton. The grantor is April Taylor. It's a scenic and conservation easement dated February 10th. At 419 East Lake Drive in Montauk, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-6219 with the ZBA.
Thank you, Carol. Would anyone like to address the board on this matter? Matthew, has anyone else called in?
Still no callers.
Motion to close?
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, well, that concludes our 5 public hearings. So now we're going to move on to public portion. And Carol Buda, you've signed up. Welcome, Carol.
Good evening. I want to start by personally thanking Councilman Flight for being responsive and conscientious.
Carol, could you just state
And
your
meeting
name
me-
for the clerk?
What's that?
Just state your name for the clerk.
Oh, Carol Buda,
Thank you.
South Springs Park, and for meeting me at the park before work began. With his help, we were able to prevent a row of mature, non-invasive holly about 10 feet tall from being destroyed. I'm here to discuss what some of us now call the mismanagement plan for the Springs Park. This plan was poorly executed from its establishment in 2009. Invasive plants were allowed to choke out native growth and specimen plants left by the former nursery. This plan calls for grasslands in about 80% of the park. Please note that no grasslands exist. Everywhere that has been cleared is now covered with invasive mugwort, and mugwort is not a grass. I Googled it, I looked it up. And here's a fun fact for everyone. Mugwort can be toxic for dogs. It can cause gastrointestinal issues and in some cases more severe symptoms like tremors and seizures. So the Springs Dog Park is now filled with toxic mugwort. The 2009 management plan has not been effective and no longer meets the community's needs and should be updated and improved as soon as possible. The public has come out in large numbers to say that they need shade and windbreaks on the trails, as well as the separation the trails delineated by the vegetation provide. Scott Wilson misrepresented the test area clearing to the board when he said that only invasives would be cleared and some shade would be preserved on the trails. There is none left. Every tree bordering the center path was destroyed. Only one small tree was left standing bordering the south trail. The test area was basically clear-cut with the ground clearly chewed up. Councilwoman Rogers had assured me in the past that a massive disruption of the habitat would not occur under this board in this park. So what happened here? Bird nests have been destroyed with everything else, and an unusual amount of bird noise bordering the area signals their distress. Indiscriminate annual mowing not only prevents autumn olive from growing, it also prevents native plants that are struggling to revegetate this area. An updated management program should provide for suppression techniques for the mugwort and some plan to revegetate the area, or at the very least, a plan to protect emerging native species. The majority of park users have spoken clearly that having huge open fields and sight lines makes the park more dangerous and more difficult for people to control their dogs. Neither Scott or Andy are certified dog behaviorists, and their opinion on this topic, frankly, should be irrelevant. Mowing down the park may be quick and easy for them, but the community's needs should take precedence. This latest clear cutting at the park with no plan for revegetation has been a slap in the face to every community member who attended meetings and spoke up over the last year. People know they've been ignored and lied to. My advice to this board would be to update the park's management plan and start to remedy this unmitigated disaster as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Is there anyone else here that would like to address the board? Matthew, is anyone called in?
No, we have no callers.
Okay, so I'll say it one more time. Does anyone else want to speak during public portion? Okay, so we're going to move on to resolutions.
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. I'll start with Resolution 2025-428. This is for warrant approval on warrant number 3B in the amount of $1,582,877.62 and $84,217.58. Supervisor is hereby directed to pay the same.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
429 is to amend Resolution 2025-358, the fee schedule for the Town of East Hampton landfill. There was a typo that listed commercial brush as $45 per trip. It should in fact be $45 per yard.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
430 is to list appointment from provisional to account clerk for Eileen Hare. Be it resolved that Eileen Hare be appointed to the position of account clerk in the Human Services Department at no change in hourly rate or budget account, effective retroactive to March 10th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
431 is to renewal the annual maintenance contract for Precisely Map Info. Be it resolved, the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute the agreement with Precisely for software licensing, support, and maintenance of the town's geographical information, Map Info legacy software for the period May 31st, 2025 through May 30th, 2026 at a cost not to exceed $1,390.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
432 is to authorize an agreement with Esri, the ARC GIS desktop system. This is an ongoing maintenance. The resolve that the supervisor is hereby authorized to execute the Esri quotation for the payment to Esri in the amount of $2,446.64 for the above services May 23rd, 2026. Payment to be made in the amount of $1,957.31 and in the amount of $489.33.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
433 is a notice to bidders for bid EH25013. This pertains to the lean-to structure at the sanitation department. A pre-bid meeting will be held 1 p.m. on Wednesday, 9th of April, 2025 at the Sanitation Department, 260 Springs Fireplace Road, East Hampton. Specifications for this are available from the Purchasing Department. You can email purchasing@ehamptonny.gov between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Each proposal must be submitted in a clearly marked envelope stating sanitation bulk storage, pre-engineered lean-to with bid number EH25013. Bid should be received on said date of April 24th, 2025 by 3 p.m. Town of East Hampton reserves the right to waive any informalities in bids received and or reject any or all bids.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. It's my pleasure to offer Resolution 2025-434. This is for acquisition of 15 Garfield Avenue. This is the schedule of public hearing and notice of public hearing for the CPF acquisition for a real property and amend the 2024 management and stewardship plan. The purported owner is County of Suffolk. Location is 15 Garfield Ave in Montauk. Suffolk County Tax Map Number 300-19.00-7. 7.00-077.21 is 0.46 acres of land. The proposed purchase price is $5,922.80. The schedule of public hearing is going to be April 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 435 is a schedule of public hearing for the 2025 CPF management and stewardship plan. This was discussed on February 19th. This plan is dated February 19th and discussed at the March 11th, 2025 work session. And the public hearing for this will be held on April 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 2025-436 is to appoint to groundskeeper 1 Javon Thomas. And that'd be an hourly rate of $24.03 effective March 24th, 2025.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
437 is appoint part-time recreational aide Luis Perez Luis Perez, I apologize. Hourly rate is $17.85, effective March 20th, 2025.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
438 is amend resolution 2025-406. Resolve that Michael Freza, MM, maintenance mechanic 3 in the Buildings and Grounds Department, appointed will be effective March 31st, 2025. And no additional changes to hourly rate, schedule, or budget account.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
439 is the approval of a CDL license training to authorize employee attendance. This is pursuant to Resolution 2025-254 for the Town of East Hampton, established a program for employees of the town's highway department for commercial driver's license training. And this approves the training provided by Victor CDL Services Incorporated from Ronell Quintero and Zachary Dam at a cost not to exceed $3,000 each, for a total of $6,000.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
440 is a notice of bidders for EH 25-010. This is the Highway Department roof replacement bid. It's available March 20th, 2025, and the bid is due back April 10th, 2025. There's a pre-bid meeting to be held at 11 a.m. on March 31st, 2025 at 258 Springs Fireplace Road in East Hampton. Attendance is strongly suggested, but not mandatory. Any questions, please contact the purchasing department at 631-324-4143.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 441 is the notice of bidders for EH 25-011. This is for pump out tank monitoring systems. The bid is available March 20th, 2025, and the bid is due back for April 10th, 2025. Any questions, please contact our purchasing department at 631-324-4183.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 442 is also a notice of bidders. This is for EH 25-016. This is for portable toilets. It's the rental and servicing of the 2025 bid. It's available March 27th, 2025, and the bid is due back April 10th, 2025. Again, please contact the town's purchasing department with any further questions.
Second.
Move for discussion. Sorry,
Okay.
sorry, Dave. Just on this one last year, I just want to confirm with yourself and Steve that we will have all the portable bathrooms be ADA compliant. I know I discussed this with him last year, and he was going to move towards that. But as we do that, I just want to confirm that.
I can't confirm that with you right now, but typically all the bid actually has portables that are ADA compliant. As you'll see at the at Dish Plains, you also see it at Montauk Skate Park and other locations. So if those aren't ADA compliant, we can always
Right.
change
I think
them.
it's if there's one, it's ADA compliant. If there are multiple, at least one is ADA compliant, I think is the policy has
you.
been.
So this is for a bid, not for the policy.
Right.
So your discussion's on the policy, not the bid.
Just as we go out to bid, that stipulation is there for the adequate requirement of ADA bathrooms.
So that's more of the policy. This is just for the bid. And yes, we will
Yeah.
confirm that with his office.
I've seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
443 is a notice of bidders for EH 25-012. This is for Town Hall Plaza waterproofing. The bid is available March 27th, 2025. The bid is due back April 24th, 2025. Again, there's a pre-bid meeting will be held at 11 a.m. on Wednesday, April 9th, 2025 at 159 Panago Road, East Hampton. Attendance is strongly suggested. Anyone has any questions, please contact Jeannie Crows in our purchasing department at 631-324-4183.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Lastly, I have Resolution 2025-444. This is RFP for EH 2025-101. This is a license to utilize agricultural land at in Amagansett. The proposal is available on March 27, 2025, and the proposal is due back on April 17th, 2025. Again, if you have any questions, please contact our purchasing department at 631-324-4183.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have Resolution 445. This is the secret determination to classify action, assume role of lead agency, and adopt a negative declaration pursuant to SECRA for proposed amendments to Chapter 255 zoning. And this is whereas the Town Board of East Hampton considered a proposed local law amending 255 zoning of the East Hampton Town Code, Section 255, 1110-3, residential districts, table of dimensional regulations, Part 1 and Part 2, gross floor area, single-family residence, maximum square feet. The intent of this amendment is to ensure that Chapter 255
55 of East Hampton Town Code adheres to the finding, goals, and recommendations of the comprehensive plan as it currently exists. And with this resolution pertains to the New York State Environmental Quality Act. The Planning Department of the Town of East Hampton has prepared a short form environmental assessment, EAF Part 1, considering the proposed zoning code amendments, and identified the EAF identified the proposed zoning code amendments as an unlisted action pursuant to SEQA, and whereas the town board has identified no other agency shall act as lead agency and proceed in an uncoordinated review, whereas the town board as lead agency has caused to prepare a proposed EAF, Part 2 and 3, be it resolved that the town board of the town of East Hampton finds as follows. The town board does hereby classify the action as an unlisted action. The town board does hereby assume the role of lead agency and proceeds in an uncoordinated review. The town board does hereby adopt the contents and conclusions set forth in the attached EAF Part 2 and Part 3. The supervisor of the town of East Hampton is authorized to complete and sign the determination of significance of the EAF Part 3, declaring as set forth therein that the action will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and the town board does hereby issue this negative declaration.
Second.
Do I need to call a roll call?
Not-
Ian seconded.
Not for the secret part of it. I will call for the adoption
Do
of
I
the
need to
law.
call a roll call?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 446 is list appointment to Director of Code Enforcement for Martin Culleton, whereas Suffolk County Department of Human Resources Personnel and Civil Service has given an examination for Director of Code Enforcement, certification number listed, and Martin Culleton is reachable on said list. Be it resolved that Martin Culleton is hereby appointed to the full-time position of Director of Code Enforcement with the Ordinance Department at the annual salary of $112,000 for a 40-hour work week effective April 7th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 447 is to establish a leave bank share time for Ordinance Enforcement Department employee. Resolved that the town will establish a leave bank share time accommodation for Russell Young, Ordinance Enforcement Officer in the Ordinance Enforcement Department, beginning payroll period number 8, and the leave bank will be monitored and accounted for by the Town Budget Office in coordination with the Finance Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 448 is payout upon resignation to Kevin Cooper, whereas Kevin Cooper has resigned his full-time position as Director of Code Enforcement effective February 9th, 2025, and audited time records indicate that he has accrued vacation time balance and accrued sick and personal time balance. Therefore, be it resolved that the Finance Office is authorized to cut a check through payroll from the appropriate budget account for vacation time, personal sick time, prorated longevity, healthcare opt-out incentive, and dental vision contributions for a gross total of $29,443.22.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 449 is community support for Earth Hour, whereas Earth Hour is a moment of unity that brings the world together, shines a spotlight on nature loss and the climate crisis, and inspires millions to more to act and advocate for urgent change. Each year, we work together to turn a single hour, Earth Hour, into thousands and millions of hours of action for our one shared home. That's their mission statement. And whereas by Resolution 2021-329, dated March 4th, 2021, the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton adopted a climate emergency declaration in a recognition of the urgent need to combat climate change, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and initiate climate mobilization to reverse global warming and the ecological crisis. Therefore, be it resolved, and I just have one amendment to this, that the town board, I'm going to insert the word board after town board of East Hampton supports Earth Hour and asks for community support to shut off all non-essential lights on Saturday, March 22nd, 2025 from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 440 is adopt local law amending Chapter 255 zoning, Section 255-11-10, 3, residential districts, table of resident dimensional regulations, Part 1 and Part 2, gross floor area, single-family residence, maximum square feet. Whereas the town board held a public hearing on March 6th to consider a local law entitled the same, whereas after considering the proposed local law and the comments received at the time of the hearing, the town board believes the adoption of the proposed local law is in the best interest of the town, whereas pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and Chapter 128 of Environmental Quality Review of the Town Board, the Town Board classified the action as an unlisted action and issued a negative declaration on March 20th, 2025. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the proposed local law is hereby adopted to read as follows. And I'm going to skip down to findings and objective. The town board of the town of East Hampton finds that it has become necessary to assess, review, and recommend changes to 255 of East Hampton's town code to ensure that it's compliant with the town's comprehensive plan, including various plans and studies that were undertaken after the comprehensive plan's adoption in 2005. The intent of this amendment is to ensure that Chapter 255 of the East Hampton Town Code adheres to the finding, goals, and recommendations of the comprehensive plan as it currently exists. And in 255-11-10, the changes to the use and dimensional table for all districts, and the amendment is as follows. Gross floor area, single-family residence, maximum square feet will now be 7% of lot area plus 1,500 square feet, or 10,000, whichever is less.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah,
Sure.
sure, likewise.
Yeah, well, first of all, I just want to say that I know everyone's thought a lot about this and worked hard, and that everybody's going to vote based on what they truly believe is best for the town. I think that, the good intentions are important to acknowledge. And I also want to say that I know that I support a GFA reduction, and I think most people in town do, even those who disagree with this particular legislation. And I do disagree with this particular legislation based on the fact that it doesn't allow for flexibility within living space, within a structure that is the same size as this law does allow. So I made a proposal to allow for some flexibility within the same size structure that this allows, the same clearing restrictions, the exact same pyramid laws, the exact same setbacks. Everything's the same except for how you use that space inside the house on smaller lots. And I just think that by not allowing that flexibility, I'm worried that, we're not talking about huge houses here. They're less than 3,000 or 3,500 square feet, not small, but not huge houses. And I worry that we're going to hurt, working families and working people. And nobody intends to do that. I don't think anybody intends to do it, but I think, unintentionally, that will be the result. And so I'm going to be a no vote on this.
Thank you. I just would like to explain my vote for this as well. I do believe that this is entirely significant to the town's comprehensive plan. And as I see it, the goals, of that plan are essential. They define the essential balance between the use of the land and the long-term preservation. I mean, the question I bring myself to is this going to bring us closer to those goals? We've engaged in hours of review and study. We've heard a range of perspectives, and I want to acknowledge that, yes, most public comment we have received is in favor of this change. However, as someone whose property would not fit into this GA formula, I believe it would be hypocritical of me to support it. I also wish to acknowledge and contest personally just feedback of the concerns raised with said legislation, the potential implications for young families' abilities to live here, the possible knock-on effects in the building, real estate, and related industries, a primary driver of our local economy, and the implications of affordability for those who could use that space to implement their income, renting out extra rooms, a mainstay of many current local household incomes. I also agree with my colleagues' comments in the last meeting that allowing a 6,000 square foot garage but not comparable living space is somewhat hard to justify. One of my primary concerns is that this places an excessive burden on local families trying to survive out here as opposed to those opposed to targeting the primary driver, which I see as the commercialization of our residential zones. With all that, I absolutely acknowledge that in my time living here, the quality of the physical environment has degraded, and there's more pressure on the land. From scientific data I have seen, my perspective, the vast majority of this is a result of human activity. Some aspects of this are within our control, and I think this resolution in some small way falls into that category. However, the primary drive of this issue, I argue, is driven by a system that disproportionately burdens associated environmental costs on future generations, as opposed to those profiting from it today. Based on our last conversation, I believe it's highly likely this resolution will pass. My sincere hope is this legislation has the desired impacts of those who brought it forward, to reduce commercialization of the neighborhoods and encourage our local builders and architects to find more sustainable methods of building and slower environmental degradation, and that the concerns that I am raising around impacting local homeowners and the economy do not. I immensely appreciate both the hard work of this committee, my colleague, Council Member Rogers, and the public feedback we have had. For these reasons, I will be abstaining from this vote.
I stand on my comments that are on the record from 3/18/2025. As stated in the last vote, the 10,000 square feet, I challenged that in the past, but I'm not challenging it here. I'll stand on my record from 3/18/2025.
Thank you, David. Carol, if you could please do the roll call.
Abstain.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed.
Aye.
Resolution 2025-451, this is the notice of public hearing for CHF Project Funding Award Grant for East Hampton Housing Authority, 109 Hampton Street, Sag Harbor. A public hearing will be held on March 27th, I'm sorry, that's the wrong date. The public hearing will be held on April 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. And this is to award $1.5 million to the East Hampton Housing Authority for the purposes of acquiring a 4-unit building located at 109 Hampton Street, Sag Harbor, Town of East Hampton, for community housing purposes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 452, this is the list appointment from provisional for Community Development Program Analyst for Joanne Pilgrim. There's no change in hourly rate or budget account number. This is retroactive to March 14th, 2025, and is permanent and post-probationary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 453, this is to approve reduction in weekly scheduled hours for Jenny Munoz. Her hourly rate is $26.64, and this is effective March 24th, 2025.
Second. Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 454, this is to approve use of energy sustainability funding. The town board hereby approves the use of $3,784 as supplemental funding for the purchase of a hybrid vehicle for housing department.
I think it's 3,784.
Yes, I'm sorry, 3,784. I'm sorry if I misread that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 455, this is to authorize payment past due invoices for Mission Communications Camp Hero. This is for $774 to Mission Communications LLC for the computer software services at the Camp Hero pump stations in 2024. Sorry, Tom, that's it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 456, this is the donation of office space to RSVP Suffolk. Town board hereby approves the use of office space at 267 Bluff Road, Amagansett, consisting of approximately 156 square feet by RSVP Suffolk on an as-needed basis as a donation to RSVP Suffolk. The town estimated the value of the office space donated to be $15,834 for 2025.
Second.
Say what RCP stands for.
Yes, it stands for Retired and Senior Volunteer Program of Suffolk County.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 2025-457 is to appoint part-time police officer to East Hampton Town Police Department, David DeLong, at the hourly rate of $30.83, effective March 30th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
458 is a list appointment from provisional for Deputy Town Budget Officer, Neji Valera. Neji Valera is hereby appointed to the position of Deputy Town Budget Officer with the Finance Department at no change in hourly rate or budget account, retroactive to March 14th, and this appointment is permanent and post-probationary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
459 is a list appointment from Provisional for Town Intergovernmental Relations Coordinator Samantha Klein. Samantha Klein is hereby appointed to the position of Town Intergovernmental Relations Coordinator with the Finance Department at no change in hourly rate or budget account number, effective retroactive to March 14th, 2025. This appointment is permanent and post-probationary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
460 approves the contract with the Amagansett Fire Department for fire protection and emergency ambulance service for the Promised Land Fire Protection District for calendar year 2025. This is for the 12-month period, and Amagansett Fire District shall be paid the sum of $590,766.44.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
461 is a uniform reimbursement for public safety dispatcher Aaron Tavera in the amount of $102.01.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
462 is a reimbursement to police officer Patrick Royal for specialized items that will enhance Officer Royal's ability to perform unmanned aerial systems, drone operations during tactical scenarios in the amount not to exceed $1,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
463 is to authorize requests to congressionally directed spending and community project funding for fiscal year 2026, and these are for eligible projects from the 2025 capital plan that match the priorities and goals of the funding opportunities. I brought this up in my liaison report on Tuesday.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
464 is the 2025 budget modification for the town attorney. We're moving $743 from office equipment to travel conferences and dues in the A fund, and $300 from office expense to travel conferences and dues in the same amount in the B fund.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
465 is to amend the Town of East Hampton's 401A special pay plan. And the 401A special pay plan with U.S. Corps will be amended to permit dual-year contributions from members of the PBA and SOA commencing with year 2025 as the first year of the dual-year contribution, where the member will be retiring in 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
466 is to approve the waiving of fees for the Friends of Erin 2025 Montauk St. Patrick's Day Parade, and this waives the cost for police staff overtime at an estimated total of $35,000 and an estimated total of $15,000 for mutual aid costs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
467 is to authorize payment of a prior year invoice at the airport, and this is to Robinson Aviation, Inc. in the amount of $92,993.68.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
468 is a past due invoice for Becker Home Center in the amount of $16.99 from May 2023 and $15.99 from September 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
469 is to authorize payment to Flight Tech for 2024 totaling $6,329.17.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
470 is to authorize retention of Flight Tech Engineering for the decommissioning of special instrument flight procedures for 2025 in an amount not to exceed $7,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
471 is to authorize employee training for Edward Schnell, sponsored by the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials and Motorola Trunked Users Group in an amount not to exceed $2,800.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And lastly, I have ID 32600. It's a reimbursement for personal property damage, and this is when members of the East Hampton Town Police Department responded to an emergency situation. There was damage to a garage door and main entry door. The invoice for the repair is in the amount of $7,500, and Marianne Peluso will be reimbursed that amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So those are all the resolutions we have. Is there anything anyone needs to bring up before we?
No.
Okay, so do I have a motion to go into exec session?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for contracts and personnel.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you for joining us tonight.